On this episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast.
How do we hold these assholes accountable for this?
If it's everybody in charge, what do we do?
Somehow, the healers of the world have to balance out the fucking evil.
Still been very naive and refused to believe it was that bad, and it's worse than I ever fucking thought.
I don't have the answers either on the bigger scale.
Hi, I'm Lady Shadow, a witch with much to share, stirring the cauldron with magical self-care.
Hi, I'm Peaceful Nick, a medium divine. I chat with the dead and interpret every sign.
We are Soul Twin Stars, best friends through it all.
From spells to healing, we're answering the call.
From moon cycles to menopause and making peace with the dead.
We aren't afraid to talk about what's rarely said.
So tune in each week to get raw, real, and wise.
Let's talk about a spiritual life with absolutely no disguise. Welcome to the Soul Twin Stars podcast, Uninhibited Spirituality.
We'd like to first thank this week's episode sponsors, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. They ship the most delicious baked goods anywhere. Follow them on their Facebook page, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. Also, Abernathy Photography, serving Western Kentucky and beyond, specializing in digital photography, weddings, and so much more. They now also feature drone photography. You can book them at abernathyphotography.com. And lastly, if you find yourself in Westchester County, New York, just north of New York City, Fino Restaurant in Croton-on-Hudson, New York, serves the most delicious, authentic Italian food. That's Fino Restaurant, Fino. And now, back to our episode.
Hello, and welcome back to the Soul Twin Stars podcast. I'm Peaceful Nick, the medium, joined by the wonderful, as always, Lady Shadow. How are you, Lady Shadow?
Oh, girl, I have missed you. As you all know, I have been gone traveling the world for the last couple of weeks, and it feels really good and bittersweet to be home. But to see your smiling face and to be sitting here talking about world events is always a blessing. So happy to be back. But, oh my gosh, girl, I gotta tell you, for those of you who have not traveled or left the United States because of financial limitations or fears, there is a way to do it on a budget, cheaper than going to Disney World for 3 days. I'm telling you, and you and I have talked about this, but we got this crazy deal going to Barcelona for $125 on the way over, $150 on the way back. It's a wonderful airline. We tried them out. We can vouch. We brought our little animal with us, and it was just absolutely perfection. The airline was great. The ride home, we weren't even supposed to get meals, but we were on the parent airline that runs Level, which is Iberia, which is a very famous, solid airline out of Spain. And so they used an Iberian aircraft, so everyone got a meal when we weren't really supposed to, because it was supposed to be operated by Level. So we all got to eat a delicious meal on the way home. Old school, where they heat it up and serve everybody. It was so nice. But the trip in general just was perfection, Nick. It was, and you know me, I'm dragging your ass to Europe one of these days. Every accommodation exceeded my expectations. We made every single train, bus, plane connection, and we had several, because every 3 days we were hauling ass going to a different spot in the world. So we covered Barcelona for a night. We went to the Amalfi Coast, where we drove a rental car through super narrow passageways. And let me tell you, Italy is banging crazy driving there, because even where the roads are more normal around cities or off of highways, just getting off a regular road, it's a narrow little road, and half the time it's a two-way road, but only one car can fit. Actually, I would say 75% of the time. These roads should be one way only. And so it's not just in the mountains. Yes. And it's not just in the mountains where we were driving these crazy, crazy roads, but it's all over Italy. It's by far, Italy is the most chaotic place I've ever rented a car driving through Europe. But it was wonderful. The views that we had, the food was amazing. I cooked. We went to grocery stores. We hiked. We walked miles a day. We worked a little bit here and there. We had so much romance. We had deep conversations. We talked to locals. We met people. And then every time we hopped on another plane to go to a different place. So we went to from the Amalfi Coast in Italy, we went to Budapest, Hungary, and enjoyed that amazing city in a giant apartment that could have slept 8 people. I don't know how I got that for $50 a night. And then we went on, took a train to Vienna for a night, and then took a train from there to Prague. Spent 3 beautiful days in Prague. And then from Prague, we went back to Barcelona and flew home. And the day we flew home from Barcelona, it was a beach day, 50 degrees. Everybody was walking the beach. It looked a lot like Florida. Palm trees everywhere, taco stands. We had tacos and Coke Zeros on the beach the day we left. And I have to say, of all the places that I had not visited this round, Prague was my favorite because it was such an Eastern European magical Gothic feel. The city is super clean. It's close to Poland, which is my heart. It's funny because we were taking a train from Vienna to Prague, and we had to change trains in this little tiny stop called Břeclav. And had I stayed on that train, it was Warsaw bound. And I told Chris, I said, oh my God, I want to go to Warsaw, back to Warsaw so bad because I loved Poland. And I was so tempted to just keep on going. But I'm like, no, we must see Prague because we have not seen Prague. But what a beautiful, beautiful city. Friendly people, delicious food. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you, every single day of this trip was perfect, was magical. And if y'all need some travel tips, email me, soulsandspirits@yahoo.com. I can tell you how to put together a trip like this to Europe, especially in off season, for pennies. I'm not kidding. Between 14 days, Chris and I, round trip tickets to and fro the other continent, including airport, transportation, spending, food, every single dime. You're not going to believe the number. Take a guess what we spent each.
$1,500.
$1,250.
That is way cheaper than going to Disney World.
It is.
That is way cheaper.
Yes. And that's how good we are with our money when we're over there. And for the 2 cities for Prague and Budapest, they sell these unlimited passes for 72 hours where you can ride all the public transportation you want, including from the airport and back, which we needed to get to. And often those passes included free excursions. So we got into 4 museums for free. We got into the mineral baths for free with that pass. And that pass was $70 each for 3 days. That included like all these attractions inside of it. So I'm telling you, and how much can you really do in 3 days, right? If you pick a couple of things here and there, that are free, it makes the 3 days worth it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that I am so rested, blessed, and I feel rejuvenated. Oh, and don't listen to the fear porn about, if you travel overseas, you're going to get sick. And, being on all these planes and around all these people and eating different food and drinking water that's not filtered. Let me tell you, everything over there, the food you eat, much more wholesome, much more safe, filtered water. You don't have to worry about all that shit. It's amazing.
And they have health care. So if you do
and they have health care. Exactly. Right. And Chris and I, we did not have one sniffle. We never do because we take good care of ourselves. We walk ourselves 5 to 8 miles a day on cobblestones and hiking up stairs and hills and oh my gosh, we get tons of exercise. We got all the vitamin D that we could get when the sun was out. We didn't have any terrible weather days. It was great. But we didn't have a sniffle. Nobody had diarrhea. All the poops were normal, regulated, even for the dog. She didn't have any trouble with tummy problems eating the food over there because we don't feed her dog food. She's spoiled. She eats human food. But Nick, I can just tell you the divine moments stacked up over 2 weeks, every single day, all day long. And it was the most incredible time. You saw the pictures, you saw the polos, so you can vouch for the amazingness of this trip. And thank you for letting me share that.
I recommend anyone who is considering a trip to Europe. Lady Shadow has gone traveling around the world since I've known her. I'm always happily jealous because I have not traveled out of the country. I had kids. She chose a child-free life so she can have that kind of fun. And now I'm having grandbabies. So I had a different path than she did, so I just didn't have the opportunity, or didn't make time to do it, I'll say.
Well, you're coming into your retirement years, so now it will be time.
I have a lot of fears I'm working through that prevented me. So, but the point of me saying any of that was, if you really are considering traveling and you do need tips, Lady Shadow is the queen of making an amazing itinerary on a budget. And you won't regret going over there. So how many countries did you go to in 2 weeks?
I think it was 5 total. So Spain, Italy, Hungary, Austria, and Czech Republic.
Okay. And $1,200.
$1,200.
And I'll tell you, when we lived in California and we would fly to Disney World, it would cost for 2 people probably $4,000.
Oh my gosh.
Just to fly across the country and go to Disney World for a week. So at least $4,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Disneyland for a weekend was $2,000 to $3,000.
Oh yeah. California is a whole different. California's a whole different ball game there. Yeah. Right. So, you add 20% to that.
Right. So I applaud you, and I am happy, so happy. And I love the pictures and the videos. It's amazing. My divine moment is my son and daughter-in-law got married over the weekend, and it was a beautiful small family ceremony. Everything went off without a hitch. Her brother has a wonderful home and provided a great place for the reception, indoor, outdoor living in Florida, and wonderful, amazing food. So generous of them to host that at their home. And just a beautiful, wonderful family time. And I'm just thrilled. Both my daughters-in-law are incredible women. And I mean that fully and sincere. I'm going to cry. I mean that very sincerely. I could die tomorrow and be happy knowing that my sons have a partner that is intelligent and kind and compassionate and really loves them. And there's no, as far as I know, drama behind the scenes of she said, she did, blah, blah, blah. No, they're wonderful, wonderful women. I'm thrilled for my sons and my family. And it's just growing, and there's nothing more divine than that.
It's so true. Don't you wish that we had that much love from our in-laws? Wouldn't that have just been so nice? Like, we are really beautiful, intelligent women too. You raised 2 amazing boys, right? Like, you deserved the same bragging moment that you just gave your daughter-in-laws, right?
Listen, the reason why, okay, there's 2 things. One, I raised my sons to find a partner who was loving, kind, compassionate, intelligent. I said, that's like Princess Leia. I always say, I knew they were heterosexual. So, no shade on somebody who's not. This is when they were teenagers. So we knew, if you're going to find a female partner, she needs to be like Princess Leia, strong, kind, compassionate, loving, intelligent, boom. And they both did. And so that's one thing. Second thing is, my in-laws weren't a fan of me, probably because of my strong personality, my intelligence, my unwillingness to kowtow to their demands of whatever ridiculousness they demanded. And they're just blatant disrespect. So I made it a goal of mine to not ever have the type of relationship with my daughters-in-law in the future. So this is in the past, right? I would never, ever be that way. I would never, ever be disrespectful as much as humanly possible. Like, right? Like, I don't, if I am, I'm not meaning it to be that way. If I am like that, it's an accident. Like, I'm not purposefully doing it. And they both can come to me and say anything and have a conversation with me. I'll give an example. One time, God bless her, my son did something, my oldest son, something silly. I don't remember. And I was like, Maggie, blah, 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 make him do something. I was joking with her, right? I was being funny. And she goes, well, you had him till he was 19. And I'm like, touche,
Oh,
touche. Because she's right. Like, she wasn't being a bitch about it. She was just saying, did you do your job too? But she was, kind of calling me out in a way that was funny. Like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. And I thought it was brave of her to even say that. Because I'm a strong personality. So,
and that's what family does. When family comes together, it shouldn't just be kowtowing, tiptoeing. It should be that you advocate for yourself and you try to be kind and you try to be authentic. But mostly, just being honest,
and
but being
authentic.
kind honest, right? And
Right.
some things have to be said. You can't just go around and be a people pleaser all the time.
Right.
And you can't go around being a miserable asshole all the time either.
Exactly.
So it's absolutely a balance that just requires you to just stay in the present moment and deal with things as they come along. But you're right. There's always a better way to say things, like these trolls on the internet, right? That go around and they just go for the jugular because they figure, well, nobody will know who they are. Who cares? They can just say anything. They can hide behind their keyboard. But it just, in the energetic realm, which we always talk about, it will still come back to you because you're putting something out that's going to make its way back to you again in another form.
Right.
Or in the same form. So just watch what you say and watch what you think about, because these are all things that can culminate into your life, expressions of your life.
And it's good when you feel safe enough to be able to say something to somebody
Absolutely.
without feeling, oh, she's going to hate me. Like, I wanted my in-laws to love me so much. And I did so many things to try to please them. And it just got worse and worse until I was like, you know what? I could be the queen of Egypt and they'd hate me for being the queen of Egypt. Right?
Yep.
Like, wouldn't matter what I did. Wouldn't matter what on earth. And it didn't matter. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to be me and you go on about yourself.
And you know what? It's amazing that,
Ring.
like me, because I had a similar situation, that we have survived the longevity of our marriages despite that, because I'm sure in our in-laws' minds they figure if they could just be so terrible that we'll just run away, that they get their way, right? But when you love somebody, what we're willing to put up with is crazy. And the shit that I put up with for a long time, it is astounding. I look back on it now, and there were several times where I thought, is this even worth it? Because they always say you marry into the other family, but no, not really. You're kind of marrying the person, and a majority of the time you're going to spend with your spouse. It will not be
Hopefully.
with the in-laws, right? You're not banging your in-laws, and it's not a gang bang. You don't live together. Most people don't live together, right? So I'm thinking, a couple of holidays here and there, I can deal with that. But a lot of people can make a really hard time for somebody even just through a holiday. And
it's not just in-laws.
Yeah.
It's humans, which brings us to the subject of tonight. The world is going to world. And how are we going to live in our own world? And that is exactly what we're talking about. So in-laws, regardless of whether they're good or bad, maybe I'm the bad guy, maybe they're the bad guy. It's irrelevant. We're just different, and we resonate. We don't resonate. Our frequencies are not aligned. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It matters that these two groups aren't jiving, and that's it, right? And the world is that way. And I've said it, and it's so, the things that are going on right now in the United States are troubling, to say the least. And I think that we're not mad enough yet. We're not mad enough. We're not disgusted enough. And I think the reason is people are turning off the news because it's so horrible. I will tell you, I haven't watched the news in a year and a half. I have stopped following certain creators on my social media. I've stopped watching certain podcasts that I used to watch all the time because it's so vile. And I'm talking about the list and the files. That I was following some creators for other reasons, and then all this list and file stuff started coming out, and they were posting pictures with no warning from the files and video clips. Even if even if parts of it were redacted, you still could see enough. And it was giving me sleepless nights and nightmares. And I had to stop following certain people because it's like, you know what? I understand the information has to get out there. And I actually made a social media post and said, listen, I understand we need the information, but please put a trigger warning because there's a lot of survivors of SA, and it's really triggering. Even if you've been to therapy for a million years like me and read a billion self-help books, like it's still there forever. It's like grieving a loss. You grieve a loss forever. You're never over it, right? When you are traumatized and abused like that, you're never over it. You can get re-triggered in a second, no matter how much work you've done. So I made a social media post, and of course, the trolls came out and said, oh, you're that upset over a picture on the internet. And I wanted to explode and say things, but I just deleted it and blocked the person because I'm not feeding my energy into that. Because if you are that, if you're saying that, you're vile and you're fine with the files, right? You're fine with all of that. And I can't engage. So we're in an inflection point right now to where we have to still pay enough attention to make sure people are held accountable, but at the same time, keep our own peace. And that's a challenge because we want to make sure people are held accountable. The United States isn't holding anybody accountable, but other countries are starting to. And the UN is saying these are crimes against humanity. That's how bad these files are.
Yep.
And other countries are starting to send out legal repercussions to people that are in the files. Our president, according to Ted Lieu, the sitting, I believe he's a senator, stated that he, the president, is in the files, the unredacted files, doing, I can't say the words, but go find Ted Lieu's video. But he says what's in the files that the president in the White House now did. And for those people who have been abused, men and women, as children, and even as adults, because you can be abused as an adult that way, seeing the person who's in charge of your country and all of his buddies just doing whatever they want with no consequences. And there's photos of them and videos all over the internet of them doing these things. It is maddening. And it is so horrifying to know that it makes you feel unsafe. And I told my husband, because I've had my husband and friends and family members say, Nicole, just go do stuff. Go do stuff. It's fine. You'll be fine. And I said to my husband the other day, I feel completely vindicated for being so paranoid all these years and not wanting to go take a walk down a trail by myself. I feel vindicated for telling my kids, you can't play outside if I'm not out there with you or if my husband's not out there with you.
Yep.
So, how, Lady Shadow, do we keep our world inside of us stable?
I think the answer lies differently with everybody. I think that the system doesn't want our opinion. It wants our nervous system. It
Mm.
wants our fear. It's like another monster created another monster
Mm.
to eat our emotions. It's like they're creating a meal. They're creating a meal of energy from our fear and anger. And I've thought about this for hours because I've had the unpleasant experience of this stuff being sent to me way before it came out. This was already on the dark web, all this stuff. In fact, worse. It's gross.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't believe it. I've had other people tell me this.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
told me,
Nobody really believed it
other
until
people, and I've been very naive. And it may,
it's okay.
even though I'm super paranoid and I don't like to go out by myself,
Yeah.
I've still been very naive and refused to believe it was that bad. And it's worse than I ever fucking thought.
Exactly. And even if you talk now, we all use ChatGPT differently, but even if you ask AI about this stuff and you say, how do they target their people? They will say, don't hang out in places alone. It straight up tells you, don't go isolating yourself around certain areas. Because, I mean, even there's this
Clubs, clubs, girls that go to clubs, take
well,
Ubers at
not
3
just
in the
that,
morning.
but do you know that our national parks, like hundreds of people go missing in our national parks
Mhm.
every year, and nobody has an explanation for this.
Mhm.
And there are supposedly not just, well, there are tunnels under every city. We already know that, right? But there are tunnels that connect the cities as well, deep underground military bases. All these connection points, they meet in different areas and they have entrance and exit points that are kind of disguised as caves and holes. And this is why a lot of people go missing. And it's like in the millions around the world. It's scary.
Yeah.
And there are these networks of people that look for vulnerable people who are traveling alone or who are in very remote places. It is not being paranoid at all for you to think that, safety first. Okay. Now, if you're in a suburban area like you, chances are much less where, you've got neighbors around, to kind of help with accountability. But
Right.
like even where I live, I can go hiking in the middle of nowhere where there isn't a house for miles, just 10 minutes from my house. Right. Like it makes you rethink everything because it's true. They find their victims in their most vulnerable state, both geographically and emotionally. Yes. So I found a lot of these files. Well, they were sent to me from another friend who keeps me up to date on fringe topics because I'm a writer and I like to silently protest these
Right.
types of things through my art. So I didn't ask for the graphic level of the disgusting shit that's flying around right now. But I also, as a person who's very aware and who wants to actively protect and help people, and prevent this shit from continuing, I wanted to make myself educated on it. So you have to unfortunately process, through your brain exactly the level of disbelief that one human, let alone several in the highest rankings of the world, would want to entertain themselves this way. It's absolutely vile. And so, yeah, I'm not shocked now because, like, again, all of this I came across much longer ago than everyone else is getting it. But it doesn't change the fact that we need to, like you said, process this, whether you ignore it, whether you hold vigil for the victims, or, become an activist in your community, or whether you donate to a trusted trafficking organization that actually helps and not actually feeds it, because there's a lot of organizations that you're donating to that are feeding the very beast. I won't get into who those people are, but there's several organizations that claim to help people, but it's actually doing the opposite. We don't want to turn our power over. Again, what's in your world, keeping it joyous, peaceful, honoring the potential for this to hopefully end and for people to come to justice, and honoring victims and doing what we can to protect future generations from this kind of bullshit is far more productive, right? Than just getting angry and living in a world of disgust and not taking your own power back in order to find a way to channel that for good. So still, we have to come back around in our own healing in order to heal the rest of what's happening out there. And somehow the healers of the world have to balance out the fucking evil, right?
It's a challenge. I've been trying on my social media platforms, especially YouTube, to raise the vibration. I've made a conscious effort to move away from a lot of negative talk, which I've done in the past, to get views, of course, because the algorithm is crap half the time. And unless you talk about negative things, right? If you talk about positive things, people don't get excited unless they're the ones that want to hear it, which are less than the people who want to hear the negativity, unfortunately. So I have had to really think deeply about how I can manage my own emotions by helping build a positive community. When I do my live streams, I didn't do one last week because I was traveling for my son's wedding, but normally on Friday nights I do a YouTube live stream and try to build up, people's confidence and help them on their healing journeys. As a medium, there's always somebody grieving something, and it's a process. Healing is forever. And when things I'm 55 years old, there's nothing like this that has ever happened in my life that has come out the way this has come out. Like, this is horrible beyond horrible. Like, there are no words to describe what is and has been happening that I would have never, ever believed. I have a friend who told me a very detailed story of her childhood that have to do with all these things. And I was like, in my mind a little bit, I'm like, there ain't no way that happened in that way. And now I'm like, not that I didn't believe her abuse story, but the extreme way she described the things that were happening around her, I found hard to grasp. Like, I didn't think she was lying. I just thought, there's no way that's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That conundrum of, I know she's not lying, but I don't think that happened that way.
It's a lot.
And what she told me pales in comparison to what we have, just the tiny, itsy, teeny bits that I've been unfortunately exposed to without wanting to be.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the people who have really looked at this stuff. Like, everything I saw was an accident.
Right.
And it's still horrific, like beyond.
Yeah.
And so it's very important for us to stay in peace and know that love annihilates hate, and that we can't get through this by going down the rabbit hole of hell, disgust, and horror and sitting in it. It's okay to be aware of it. It's okay to know that it happened, but we also have to dig our way out together. We have to dig our way out together. We
Yeah.
can't do it by ourselves. And you said something a moment ago about rethinking everything. And I want to say, I want to piggyback on that. Every TV show I watch now, I pick up little things.
Yes.
I talked about the Taco Bell commercial a few weeks
Yes.
ago,
Yep.
where the girl's eating the thing with the cream on the end, and then she has the straw, and they're just showing her moist lips, and she's very young, and all these supermodels that are 12 or 13 or 14. And I saw something recently. I saw a quote the other day that made me really rethink everything. And it said that the perfect woman that we put out in America in magazines and social media and is rooted in pedophilia. Young looking, big eyes,
Yep.
cheeks that are full, thin, small, frail, a high voice, baby voice. And it made me really pause because I'm 55 years old. I'm not ever going to be that tiny little itty bitty person ever again. And I don't want to be. I don't want to look like a 12 or 13-year-old. It's gross. My husband shouldn't be attracted to somebody who looks like that. And all these women on TV, you all know who they are, who are ultra thin, ultra tiny, big eyes. They get the cheek puffed up and the lips. And it's like, I know our society and TV programs and movies kind of force women and men have, that's a whole other side of this. Men are also abused. I'm not trying to say women. I know that there are young boys and men in those files that were victims. I absolutely understand that and would never, ever berate anybody who has experienced that as a male. I know it's as horrific and it's underreported.
Yep.
Because of the shame around men being abused who don't report it. So that's a whole other story. But the fact that I saw that the ideal woman in America is based on pedophilia, the what a pedophile wants, a young, tiny, weak, submissive, stupid, uninformed girl, not a woman. Men like that hate women like us. Insecure men hate women like us because we're strong, intelligent, we don't take any shit. And so that's where we are. There's this divide now. Now what do we do? Plus men are flailing, weak men who don't understand that we don't need them. We want them when they're at their best, and they don't know how to be their best because nobody ever taught them how to be their best. That's a whole other conversation we can explore if you want.
Yeah, I agree. Well, part of the problem is the patriarchy, and we've talked about the womb envy, and I think that the backlash, or rather the overcompensation that men feel when they experience the fact that powerful women and womb envy takes away their own power. So this is their way of taking it back, doing horrible things and keeping us submissive, like you said, and in their mind, they're king abusers, and the ego and the addiction to all of that, and the carnal, disgusting, animalistic behavior that goes with that, with a lack of empathy, and which makes you really want to break down, why are these particular people in the highest places in the world that do not have empathy, that claim to want the best for the people that they rule and govern. There are rumors that there's a bloodline and they're all chosen, pre-chosen, because they all have gone through an initiation, a blackmail filter, so that people are compliant with what the shadowy people behind them want for the world. And this system was created on that carnal evil. And I talk about this in my plays in a small way that people can understand it, because people like yourself, if they had watched a scene or an implication of that in my play 5 or 10 years ago, people would say the same thing. No, it's not that bad. That's crazy. No, it's always been this bad. It's just been hidden from everybody. And now that this is out, the bigger question is, yes, like you said, A, what do we do with it other than not be traumatized, pissed off, and negative emoting about it, because that's not going to change anything. That's just going to make us weak and more scared, right? And secondly, how do we hold these assholes accountable for this?
If it's everybody in charge, what do we do?
Right. And again, and that leads us back to, they want us to feel powerless, right? They want us to feel angry and scared and fearful so that we continue to cower to the system, don't fulfill our own empowerment through what we can do in our own worlds and our own communities, because it has to start with little communities getting bigger and bigger and growing into something that's authentic and healing and peaceful, right? So it has to ripple out. And I'm saying, yes, feel what's happening. We also have to focus on like our own boundaries. We have to say, okay, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole. I'm not going to spend more time watching the news or researching. There's a Facebook page that's called the Epstein files or something. And every day people are combing through stuff and posting new things, but it's almost like obsessive. And it's great that people are finding these details that are incriminating so that we can hold somebody accountable. But again, are we really hurting ourselves more by channeling our energy into the wrong places? Or are we going to really focus on bringing justice to the system so that we can completely try to flip it on its head and revamp this really sick world that runs everything? Right. And I don't even know how to do that. I admit I do not know, other than from the community level where I'm at, creating art that empowers and inspires and heals and brings things to light. I don't have the answers either on the bigger scale of crimes here, you know? Like I don't even know what to do with that either. But I'm not going to let it kill my spirit. I'm not going to let it make me so paralyzed that I'm not out there like talking about it like right now, or writing about it like my next play called The Offer. Other than that, you know, there's only so much the little guy can do. The system was set up this way on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. But I think just by the awareness of that alone, the fact that we can understand that this system is the poison well from the start, then we can really start to recalibrate how we start holding people accountable. And I'm not even going to say go out and vote for somebody else, because honestly, it's two wings of the same bird, girl. It really is. So it's both sides. It's all sides. Is it us against them? Yeah, but you know what? There's more of us. And with our collective energy, right? All of us coming together for healing and for accountability, I think that is how we flip this. Like, I still think for that.
I agree with that. And I think I was speaking to Dr. Eben Alexander while you were on your European vacation.
By John.
And he's, for those of you who don't know, we've had him on the podcast, you know, months ago. And I also had him on my YouTube channel the other day. And he said something like, if only 3% of the people meditated, and I'm trying to get Aunt Jen, who is a certified meditation expert. I'm trying to get her to run a meditation with me. She's off traveling herself now.
Oh, where'd she go? Where'd she go?
She's in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
So So when she gets back, I want to do like a meditation to raise the vibration, because I can't go do something dramatic that's going to change anything personally, as far as go out there, go to this place and do something. That's not the answer. I'm not capable of that. I'm not going to do that. And I think most people aren't going to do something like that. But what I can do is raise awareness, raise the vibration, build a community. What we're going through is very stressful collectively. Not to mention the picking apart every part of the Constitution little by little with no regard. And I think if the predator in chief, copyright Peaceful Nick and Medium,
Trademark that one.
trademark 2026 Peaceful Nick. If the predator in chief was perp walked and arrested, I think there would be a collective sigh of relief.
Agreed.
Because that person, when we as US citizens, we look to our president for safety. And anyone who's been abused in any way doesn't feel safe, because we all know he's a predator. We all know he's vile and disgusting and has done horrific things to children, the most vulnerable, and women. I mean, he's admitted it on television in front of people, the things he's done, many of the things he's done. You just extrapolate that into what's in the files. We need to feel safe again. And right now, nobody feels safe.
Right.
And I just saw V Safar right before I came on. She's a content creator who reports the news. She said, we may be going to war with Iran on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's just,
And all that too, that's all distraction,
Yeah, absolutely. It's distraction.
Let's throw a war in there so that people stop looking over here.
Well, they captured the president from Venezuela, and that didn't stop the news cycle.
Right.
But for a couple of days, and then it was right back to Epstein.
Yeah.
Now this new one.
Yeah. And I don't even think that the mainstream media is covering the Epstein files enough either. But of course,
I don't watch it, so I don't even know.
I don't either. Sure. But the people that do tell me, that it's not being covered. But shocker, because it's owned by the very people that were still hanging out at the island. So again, you have to go in your mind and say, follow the system, follow the money, follow the odor, right? It all leads to the same place, and just cut those areas of your life, just like you would cut toxic relatives out, right?
Right.
Cut those areas out that are the cancer, that are the fearmongers and the distractors. And yeah, it's as bad as in this situation, it is bad as it is. I think with wars, I think some of that is extra dramatic for fear and distraction effect than what's actually, because isn't it funny how, and I just went to Eastern Europe. Nobody talked about that Ukraine war. It just disappeared off the map. Isn't that interesting? Like it was war, and then it just boop. Nobody said another word about it. Isn't that interesting how they can just switch the subject of fear from one thing to the next? We're talking about our world, right? Our communities. I'm not saying distract yourself into another distraction from the distractions.
Right.
It's
like Inception, a dream within a dream. A distraction within a distraction.
Exactly. But I am saying go on with your lives and just go on with your eyes open. Be more on the lookout for instance, people that do need help. Advocate for victims. Volunteer somewhere where you can see the progress happening. Again, put it into writing, put it into art, make paintings, bring awareness in a peaceful protest way. Get together with other people that have been victimized and reach out to them and have deep talks for healing. Like I'm sure you got through a lot of your essay because you're able to safely talk about it with other people. Husband, friends, me, Jen, like whoever, was close,
Yes.
who could help you process some of that. So there are things that we can do without letting it swallow us. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, a lot of this stuff, like I said, that everyone else is just now seeing, I saw, I don't know, 3 years ago. And it took me like a couple of weeks to like get the words and the images and some of the stuff that I saw out of my head. How is it possible that any human being, especially one that has risen to a place, like I said, in the world, who has any authority over somebody else, can not only get away with that, but do that to another human being
multiple times,
and brag about it and be high on it and dangle it in our faces. And that's what they're doing now by not making anybody accountable for it, by not prosecuting anybody. They have all this evidence, and you're telling me that, because there's AI, that could be faked, or that video can't be real, or we don't have enough evidence. Are you kidding me? For our sanity, this is why I went on my trip, regardless. I didn't care if there was still a war going on in the Ukraine and I was 2 countries over from that. I'm still going to live my life, find joy, inspire. We have our little dog, Bailey, and everywhere we went, everyone was just like, oh my God, a dog in a stroller. And another funny thing is, in Eastern Europe, they're very friendly with dogs, even in restaurants. You walk into a restaurant with a dog right here, they'll say, go sit out on the porch or outside on the sidewalk, or you can't have a dog in here unless it's a service animal, blah, blah, blah. Over there, they see Bailey. You know what they do? Bring her a bowl of water. They would literally bring her a bowl of water. Would you like water for the dog? And they bring me a big old bowl for her. It was so cute. Those moments, watching people smile over my dog, other tourists, everywhere we went to see something, there were hundreds of other people doing the same thing. We were in good company with people who said, you know what? Fuck it. This world is rough. There's certain things we can change and certain things we can't. And you have to know within your power, like, where your limit is, your hard limit is, I can't look at anymore. I know it's there now. The awareness is there, but now I got to heal. I got to heal the energy. I got to heal myself. I got to continue to try to heal the community from it and your followers. And so you're doing exactly what you are capable of doing. And that is the only thing I think that is important here, is that each and every one of us do what we think we can to bring healing to victims, to the energetic pull of all that, and to try to cut that energetic cord so that can just stop. Because obviously this shit's still going on, just in a different place, underground, some other island. Right. They just shuffle some things around.
All around the world. It's not just
all around the world. We can be just more hyper aware. And if we can save one person or help one person, isn't that that matters, right? That's not trivial. And if we can bring awareness by talking about it here and how to counteract that negativity, we're also doing a small part too, so.
Yeah, it's important as we get to the wrapping up portion that we know that love is the answer to everything. And there are victims who survive and live to tell about it.
Still love.
And they still want to help other people.
That's right.
And they still speak out, and they're at risk for doing that, right?
Yeah.
These are big powers that be. And the death threats and the family threats, all of that is what has kept the secret, and all the videos of all the people in charge of all the weird stuff. That's what's kept this secret for so long. That's why people in power now are in power, because there's all these stuff. But anyway, do what makes you feel happy. I watch a lot of ancient archaeology videos. I draw, I paint, I do my mediumship readings, I throw myself into work. I'm adding the college I work for keeps adding classes to my next 2 semesters. So I'm very busy, which is great. So if you are, now I'm not talking about bypassing your healing. I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying ignore everything and stay busy. What I'm saying is sometimes things are so heavy that you have to distract yourself for the time being in order to just get through that day.
Yes.
Because we can't sit there and process. We are not evolved to process news at this rate constantly 24 hours a day, news of this sort. This is not normal. We are not living in normal times. So if you are having sleepless nights, if you're having nightmares, if you're feeling extra stress, take a moment, take 3 deep breaths before you're reactive to your partner or your kid or your friend or your coworker or the lady at the grocery store. Before you react in a negative way and blow up, take 3 deep breaths and know what you're experiencing isn't normal, and it's okay to feel super stressed right now. Just take 3 deep breaths, take a moment, look at the bigger picture. The lady at the checkout didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Your partner probably pisses you off 700 times a day anyway. Your coworker probably isn't as smart as you. Whatever. Don't react and hurt other people. That's not going to help. So take a step back, take a moment, take a beat. Know that Lady Shadow and I are here to answer your questions, to help guide you through this. We haven't gone live. I went live on Magical Mondays a couple weeks ago, but then I couldn't this week. And, next week we'll be back for Magical Mondays. So we're here for you. We're here to help. Have somebody you can trust that you can talk to. If I didn't have Lady Shadow, Aunt Jen, my husband, my trusted friends and family who I could talk through these things with, I don't know how I would have made it. Right. Yeah. So we need to have people we can trust and open up to, and we're here for you.
And what's so nice really quickly is that now that this is out, I mean, like I said, when I mentioned this a couple of years ago, people were like, you're crazy. And now they're like, what you were saying now. Oh, shit. It was real. There are more people now that can commiserate and bring peaceful joy and healing in with you, because now it's knowledge for everyone. And now we can collectively heal together because it's out there for everyone to digest, and we can do that together instead of alone or feel like we're the only ones that have this information now. Like I felt a little isolated with this horrible information before, and now I can talk about it.
It's so hard to believe.
It is. It's absolutely insane.
So we have to transmute this negative energy into positivity, love, and community building. And absolutely. I hope if you stayed till the end, I hope you know that we're here for you. We send you all love. We want healing and love for everyone. And thank you for joining us on this very special episode. The world is gonna world, but how are you going to build your world? The Soul Twin Stars podcast. Thank you, Lady Shadow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, darling. We love everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us this episode for the Soul Twin Stars podcast. Find us on our podcast Facebook page for Magical Mondays live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will help you magically slay your weekdays, and for awesome giveaways. For more information about what other spiritual things Nick and I do and offer, visit peacefulnickthemedium.com. That's Nick with just a K. Or to connect with me, Lady Shadow, soulsandspirits.com is the place to go. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows, we would absolutely love that. Contact us at soultwinstars@gmail.com. See you next Friday on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Facebook, and on YouTube. Sending you all so many blessings. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, know that you are all cherished.